Welcome to American Dreams, Keys to Success, with your host, Alan Olson.
Welcome back. We're here today with Justin Lyon. He is a producer of Nickelodeon's Yo Gabba Gabba children's show. Welcome to today's show, Justin.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So give me some background. You're now in the midst of film production and television down there in Southern California. But how did you start out? Where did you grow up?
Well, funny you ask, actually. I grew up in a small farm town in southeastern Idaho called Rexburg. And my father's an artist. He painted and supported our family as an artist through painting my whole childhood, and would always travel to these art shows in various parts of the country. And every time he would go, he'd take one of us kids with him, and he'd kind of go around and travel, and we'd see the world. And I've always wanted to work in movies and TV. It kind of fascinated me, and it wasn't really something that had an industry in Idaho, obviously. And it's interesting because in that community, it was very taboo to want to work in the film and TV industry. They kind of shunned it and said, "Oh, that's evil, that's corrupt. You can't work in that industry. There's nothing good that comes of that motion picture world." And so I kind of pushed to the back of my mind my real, dream of working in the movie industry, thinking it was something I couldn't do. So then, as life progressed, I moved on. My family moved to Arizona when I followed suit, and I started working at a resort there, and then left the country for a couple of years. And then came back to Arizona. And when I came back, I got a job working at the Biltmore in downtown Phoenix. And at the Biltmore, there's a lot of bands, actors, celebrities, producers, managers, agents, people in the entertainment world that would stay at that incredible resort where I became a bell captain. And through my job as a bell captain there, I started meeting a lot of these entertainment industry people that would fascinate me, and I was like, "Oh, I kind of want to work in that world. How come I'm not working in the entertainment industry?" And it's funny because having pushed that to the back of my mind, thinking I couldn't do what I wanted to do, I started meeting people that were kind of telling me, "Well, why can't you do what you want to do?" And funny enough, being one of the bell captains at the resort, I was one of four, and the other three bell captains were all older than me. Some of them significantly older than me, and most of the bellmen were older than me as well. And a lot of the people that were working there had kind of got stuck in their job. Like they started working, and it was a great paying job while you're in school, while you're in college, and so they would start working and getting more bills and getting more things that they had to pay for, and started taking less school classes and working more. Next they got locked in. They were working full time at a job that they never anticipated or dreamed about working in. And all day long I'd hear these guys complain about how they didn't do what they wanted to do when they were younger, and they wish they would have followed their dreams. And I started thinking to myself, like, why am I not following my dreams? Why am I working at this resort? It's a beautiful resort, but it wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. It wasn't the career I anticipated doing.
So you're day to day in this resort.
Yes.
And all of a sudden you're realizing I need to do something else. Okay, but what really spurred you, even though you had a desire? What spurred you to take that leap of faith, launching yourself into something that you wanted to pursue your passion?
Right. There was a couple things, actually. One of my really good friends who I'd been in school with up in Rexburg, Idaho, he had moved to California and started working behind the scenes of music videos and commercials. And so he was kind of doing what I wanted to do. And then I started meeting all these players from the entertainment industry at the resort. And the more people I started talking to, like, well, you could be a corrupt lawyer, a corrupt dentist, a corrupt doctor. Like, why don't you just follow your dreams and do what you want to do? And so I had this almost aha moment where I realized, why am I not following my dreams? And I'd seen a movie that was, kind of out of the time that had kind of inspired me. It was about a guy that, basically put everything behind himself in his life to go see about a girl. It was a movie about this, guy chasing his dreams and following this girl. And I'd seen this movie and it had an effect on me, but I didn't want to go see about a girl. I wanted to go see about a career. I basically packed up my bags and moved packed up all my belongings and everything I had and moved to California to go see about a career that, I had long dreamed about and wanted to be involved with. And so I packed my bags, moved out to California, and ended up going to the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, a liberal arts college that is very world-renowned and recognized. And, had an incredible time at school there. And that's kind of where my journey into the film and entertainment world actually began.
So you came out of school, and you became associated with Yo Gabba Gabba.
That's a crazy story.
And so how did this come about?
So, I'm in school, right? And while I'm in school, I had, the desires, and my plan was to make indie movies that would change the world and to become the next big Hollywood producer and make movies that made people feel something and made people that make movies that made people think. And while I was in school, unbeknownst to me, two of my wife's cousins, she comes from a very large family, two of her cousins had their eyes on me, and they, wanted to know who this guy in the family was that wanted to be a producer. And literally the week I graduated from school, they sat me down and said, hey, we've got a couple ideas for some kids' TV shows. And never in a million years did I anticipate, making the next Barney, or making a children's television show. Like I said, I wanted to make those things that would have a much more deeper impact on the social context of life. But that being said, they pitched me the idea for Yo Gabba Gabba, and then also for this other show called The Aquabat Super Show. And the idea for Yo Gabba Gabba was so different and revolutionary and kind of a new thing that sounded so cool that I had to be involved with. And so once they pitched me those two show ideas, I said, okay, well, yeah, let's do this. And so we kind of took a different approach than I think a lot of people do in the TV world, especially the children's television world. We, having the experience I did in film school, where I'm used to working with a shoestring budget, making things look cheap, and getting people rallied behind the project.
So Justin, I need to take a quick break. I'm being here with Justin Lyon. He's a producer of the children's show Yo Gabba Gabba. We need to take a quick break. We'll be right back after these messages.
Protecting your family's health and welfare is a sacred trust. At Greenstein Rogoff Olson Company, we know that sound financial planning will protect them now and in the future. We're certified public accountants with tax services for the highly successful. For your business and your family, call GrowCo.
Greenstein Rogoff Olson Company will help you manage your financial affairs so you can focus on what's really important in life.
GrowCo, helping you along the way.
Apple pie, baseball, and now here's All-American Alan Olson.
Welcome back. We're visiting today with Justin Lyon. He's a producer in the children's television show Yo Gabba Gabba, airing on the Nickelodeon Network. Justin, before the break, we were talking about the segue into Yo Gabba Gabba and the introduction after you came out of film school. But what did it take to really put the children's show together?
Well, that's a great question, too. I mean, we kind of came into this naively. Having just come out of film school, I knew how to put together a small crew with a small budget, and we kind of went to the drawing board and said, hey, well, let's make a show. And they'd been pitching Yo Gabba Gabba for 6 years with no success, because they would show these illustrated drawings, and people thought, oh, this is a cartoon. No, this is actually a live-action show. These are just pictures of the characters. Oh, wait, so it's an animation. No, these are characters. They're going to be walking around, live action. And that had been their progress for 6 years. And so I came into the mix and I was like, why don't we just make a pilot that we can show people the idea? We can put something together for cheap and show the networks what this show is. And that's how Baby Einstein started. That's how the Wiggles kind of started. And so we thought, well, let's do that. So we put together a super low budget, went out to friends and family and just put together a shoestring project, and pulled together 2 pilot episodes in a week. And we had these 2 episodes that we could then go out and pitch to the networks, which we did. And we pitched the show to not much success. We had a meeting. Actually, we had a meeting with Disney, and Disney turned it down. We sent it to Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon passed on it. And then we cut together a trailer that we put online so we could send to people. And if they were interested in this 4 to 5 minute teaser we put together, we would then send them the full pilot DVD. And somehow, actually, I think it got pointed back to the people at Boing Boing, but an online frenzy has started. The show went viral. We had this crazy frenzy online with this trailer we cut together. Over a 4-day period, we had 1 million hits on our website, crashed our server. We had no idea what was going on. And at this point, I was getting emails from all over the world from different networks and kids' TV producers and the whole deal, wanting to know where this show could be found. And at that point, Nickelodeon, the head of Nickelodeon, Brown Johnson, had been given a copy of the show from Jared Hess through Julia Pister, who Jared did yep.
Nickelodeon, Napoleon Dynamite,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, so Jared gave a copy to the head of Nick Movies, who gave it to the head of Nickelodeon Preschool, and then Brown Johnson, the head of Nickelodeon Preschool at the time, she was getting emails from all over the world from her, associates, and saying what is this show? This looks like a Nickelodeon show. What are you doing with Yo Gabba Gabba? And at that point, we then got a meeting with Nickelodeon, who had, as I mentioned previously, passed on the show, and they, long story short, they ended up ordering 20 episodes, and we went into production on our first season. So we kind of came into this blindly, not really knowing how people make kids' TV shows. We just thought, let's make a show that we'd want to watch with our kids and put together a shoestring budget and went for it. And,
the interesting thing is, as you went through this process, you stayed with it. You were determined. Even though there was rejection put in front of you, you weren't quitting.
No, I mean, that's the thing, is you got to go for it. I mean, if you've got something you want to do, and with a show, we want to make this show, we just decided, let's go for it and make it and put it out to the world. And lo and behold, time and time again, you see if someone makes something that they feel passionate about, oftentimes they're not the only one in the world that would be drawn to something of that nature. And so one of the interesting things about Yo Gabba Gabba is finding the right people, because it's such a low budget, and getting everyone to kind of come together and get the team involved. And it's a tricky process, but it's a fun one at the least.
So what advice would you give to somebody wanting to do their own TV show?
Stay away. No. And like I said, just going back to the whole going for it. If you've got an idea for a show, like Christian Scott didn't give up. They had the show, and they'd been facing rejection for 6 years, and so they just stuck with it. And persistence is the biggest thing. And then also, honing your idea and staying true to your idea, and hopefully you have an idea that has an audience and would spark an interest in people around the world or the country, wherever your show's going to go. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just kind of following these things through. Because had they given up at any point during those first 6 years, or had they not had the thought to try to get me involved, it could have gone a much different direction. It might have never seen the light of day. And so that's, I think, one of the biggest things, just staying with it.
How many years running now?
We finished our 4th season 6 months ago, and we're currently waiting a 5th season order, and we're developing a feature film and lots of other fun things in the mix with that.
How fun. I'm visiting here today with Justin Lyon, producer of Nickelodeon's Yo Gabba Gabba show. And I'd like to touch on this, producing a film, what that means. We'll be right back after these messages.
Nothing's more important than spending time with your family. At Greenstone Rogoff Olson Company, we're trusted advisors to the highly successful. Our goal is to help you find the right strategy to protect your wealth for yourself and those you love. Kids, why do I feel like I've just had an audit? As trusted advisors to the highly successful, we'll make sure that you don't lose your shirt.
Roco helping you along the way.
Apple pie, baseball, and now here's All-American Alan Olson.
Welcome back. We're visiting today with Justin Lyon, a producer of Nickelodeon's Yo Gabba Gabba. Before the break, we're talking about what you're doing now, and you mentioned that you had a film, but bring us up to date.
Yes, so obviously I've been involved with Yo Gabba Gabba since the beginning. Produced the pilot of the first season. Now I'm the talent producer. I get all the guests on the show, the bands and the actors that come out. And then recently I produced the first season of the Aquabats Super Show, a TV show that's on the Hub, based on the band the Aquabats, which basically it's I think 60s Batman meets 70s Japanese TV for 6 to 13-year-olds, about this band of superheroes that are trying to save the world, which is fun. And then 2 summers ago I produced an independent feature film called Ben Banks, which is a fun little story that tells the tale of this 28-year-old slacker that's on the 12-year plan at the local 2-year college, too busy hanging out with his friends and partying, just kind of wasting his life away to do anything relevant. And he ends up falling in love with a girl at the local coffee shop, played by Misha Barton from The O.C., the TV show. And after he kind of starts, this relationship, he finds out that she has a super sketchy past that he's not too keen on. And he ends up, through the course of the film, realizing that, if you look past someone, there's an incredible moral message there that says if you look past someone's exterior, oftentimes you can find something of value and worth. And, it talks about forgiveness, and, everyone has problems and people have things that need to be forgiven. It's a really fun little romantic comedy movie about this relationship with this guy and this girl and his friends, and it's kind of an interesting tale. And that partly into now developing a much larger budget project called End of an Empire that we're very close to going on, which is kind of exciting.
So End of an Empire. What is this movie about? You got me curious. It's a big part of your life right now.
Yes. So End of an Empire it's an epic. It's a big epic movie about these civilizations that have been at war with each other for 1,000 years. It's kind of in the vein of Lord of the Rings. It's a big action movie, but it's based on one of the top 10 most published books of all time.
So Justin, what made you decide to start working on End of an Empire?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So after I finished producing Ben Banks' film, my business partner Jason introduced me to this guy Zach Thompson and Paul Garner, who were developing this movie End of an Empire. And over the last 3 years, they've been working with Weta Workshop, Peter Jackson's company, who had won 5 Oscars. Richard Taylor won 5 Oscars for their world building, and Zach had a relationship with them because Zach worked on Avatar, and Zach approached Weta Workshop about this project End of an Empire, and Weta had to get involved, which is incredible. And so for the last 3 years, Weta Workshop has been developing the characters, the props, the wardrobe, basically world building, like they call it, for this movie End of an Empire. And when I met Zach, he had showed us this book of some of the work Weta had been doing, and I was instantly enthralled. It's a universal story. This story has themes that I think are universally relevant, and it's an epic film. About this pre-Mayan civilization. It's super fascinating, and to see the work that Weta had done. I mean, I could not get involved with that and the story elements combined. I mean, there's just. And I don't know if I mentioned before, but it's based on one of the top 10 most published books of all time, like 150 million copies in circulation. That tells the tale of these two civilizations that have been at war with each other for 1,000 years, and basically this movie tells the destruction of one of these civilizations, hence end of an empire, which is fascinating.
That sounds fascinating. I always think of when Cortez came to America and met up with Montezuma, and they took all the gold and all the treasures and shipped them back to Europe. And then as time went on, and settlement came in, and they put their the Spaniards and settlers came over and put infrastructure in. One thing that was never really understood at that time is that there was pre-Mayan civilizations, these things in the jungle. So we're just discovering today, in recent years, about what had been lost thousands and thousands of years ago. I'm excited to see this movie, although it's not filmed yet. So
yeah, we plan on filming in New Zealand. So we're basically in the final stages of development, where we're actually getting close to making the film. So we plan on shooting the beginning of next year.
Okay.
In New Zealand. I'm working with Weta Workshop that's based in New Zealand. It's kind of one of the main reasons why we're planning on shooting down there. And also it has this look that can look like Central
Avatar
America.
Was down.
Exactly.
Lord
of the Rings, The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Are you on the South Island, North Island? Where?
Well, I'm sure we'll be all over. I don't know exactly. We're gonna, as soon as we get these final pieces locked in, we're gonna go down and do some scouting and figure out exactly where it makes.
And then, what
sense.
would the anticipated release date be for this?
Well, we're hoping to have it come out at the end of next year, the end of 2013. But that's all stuff we're working on. We got to make the movie first. But yeah, 2013, I think, is our target at the moment, the end of next year. So.
Mm-hmm. So, when you're in the motion picture industry, it's either kind of like a feast or famine.
Yes.
One project after another, but
Exactly.
You're excited about this.
I love it. I couldn't be more excited about a project. This is fascinating. It's, like I said, it's a story that has a huge fan base, and it's very relevant universally, which, it's fun to be able to tell a moral tale that actually can be relatable to a large worldwide audience. So, yeah.
Especially, taking the relationship and saying that happened right here in this neck of the woods. And,
Yeah.
Right. So,
Exactly.
Justin, we need to take a quick break, but I want to hold you over, and I want to have you talk about your experience in Haiti. I understand you're part of the relief efforts from the earthquake. And we'll be right back after these messages. I'm here today with Justin Lyon, the producer of Yo Gabba Gabba, Nickelodeon Children's Show.
Apple pie, baseball, and now here's All-American Alan Olson.
Welcome back. I'm here today visiting with Justin Lyon. He's a producer of Nickelodeon's Yo Gabba Gabba on the children's television show. Justin, one area that we haven't talked about, I don't know how many people realize this, but you served an LDS mission.
I did.
And you served that in
Haiti.
Yeah. So what was Haiti like, and what years were you there?
Haiti was fascinating. It still holds a very special place in my heart. I was there from 1996 to 1998.
And so what language was...
Haitian Creole, which a lot of people are like, Haitian Creole, is that what is that? I like to call it a potpourri language. It's a mix of French, African, English, Spanish. It's a language that's only spoken in Haiti and then other Haitians that have migrated to other parts of the world, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's and this is full-time for 2 years?
Full-time for 2 years, and I was there, and having come from Rexburg, Idaho, I was this little 19-year-old boy that I found myself in a fascinating culture that was entirely different. Oftentimes I was the only Caucasian even within sight. And it was really, really life-changing to come from a place where you're focused on yourself and your education, your schooling, and your life and career and whatnot, to go to a place where you're basically all day long talking about what people believe, and you're being of service, teaching English classes and helping people with their farms, and you're giving back to a community country, which often people would ask, why are you here? Why do you care? Why are you here serving us? Why? How come you're not in school? What brings you to Haiti? What is so important that you would come to Haiti to leave all that behind?
It had to be a life-changing experience for you.
Yeah, it was very life-changing. It was really cool because the Haitians have a special place in my heart, because Haiti, really, I felt for the first time what the term brother really means. They really treated me like I was family. And here I was barely able to speak their language when I first got there, totally different background, different culture, different language, different look, everything. And they treated me as if I was one of their own. And to them, that's what they have. They have the human relationships. They don't have all the other things that, people often aspire for. They have people. And that's what really mattered. And that's kind of, I never forgot that. And it's always kind of been something that I've kind of tried to stay true to and cherish is, paying attention to the human relationships that we have. And
so how did the earthquake affect you?
The emotions and the sentiments are what struck me deeply. My wife and I were doing a photography class, teaching a seminar, and my phone was just getting texts and emails and calls incessantly, and I finally looked down to see what was going on and saw that there had been a massive earthquake in Haiti, and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people were feared dead, and my heart sank. It struck me deeply, and I was getting ready to go up to the Sundance Film Festival, which I've been doing every year since I was in film school, and there was nothing further from my mind. That's normally one of my favorite weeks of the year, but there was nothing further from my mind than getting to Haiti and going down and doing work and helping out. And I had to get involved. And I was contacting people, trying to figure out a way to get down there. And while I was actually at Sundance, I heard about this group being organized out of Utah that was going down with 150 people, 50 translators, 50 medical professionals, and 50 construction professionals to be of aid and relief work. And I applied without my wife's consent, hoping that I would get accepted, and then I would share the news with my wife and see if it was okay with her. I actually got accepted and then called my wife, and she's like, yes, you have to go. And for the next 3 weeks, I was in Haiti, basically life-changing experiences where I was in hospitals and emergency rooms and with physicians, translating for these people that had open wounds and amputations and lost limbs and seeing things that I will probably never experience again. But the thing that struck me the most about giving back to Haiti and going down there and doing work was that I never once heard someone complain. Everyone lost something, whether it was a home, a family member, a friend, something. I never once heard someone complain. In fact, the opposite. I heard them giving thanks for the life that they still had, or for the opportunity they had to be with those friends or that family for that period of time before they lost them. And it was a truly touching, life-changing moment.
Wow, that's amazing. It says something about you, too. From all the things that you could have been doing in life, taking 3 weeks out to help, where disaster, travesty came into play.
Yeah, but I think it's always important to give back. That's what it's all about, is giving back and being of use. And it's awesome and cool that I get to make movies and TV shows, but being a part of this human family that we get to share and help each other with is really exciting to me.
Justin, I appreciate you being back on today's show.
Thanks for having me.
We'll take a quick break, be back after these messages.
You're listening to American Dreams with Alan Olson on AM 1220 KDOW.